And let's cross over to Kyiv, where I'm joined by journalist for the Ukraine Crisis Media Center, Anton Pachenkin. Thank you very much for joining me this evening.
Hello, and thank you for the invitation.
Stoltenberg said today most of the promised NATO combat vehicles have been delivered to Ukraine, but is it enough for a counteroffensive?
The Ukrainian officials repeatedly had been stating that Ukraine needs much more. That it has been provided. Of course, it can be, just a rhetorical step to make influence on the Western public opinion, to make this pressure to the governments from below. How to say? But just today, yes, one of the highest NATO officials, commanders in Europe, stated that 98% of what Ukraine agreed with the Western partners what Ukraine needs, and what Western partners agreed and promised to give to Ukraine, it had already come to our land. But the main question we need to discuss is what outcomes we are waiting for. The only real and the only long coming end of this war will be if Ukraine reaches its borders of 1991, and any result in the middle of what we have now and these official and internationally recognized borders of Ukraine, it won't be resting even a state of frozen conflict for a long time, and also it is understood by everyone that Ukraine has to, and Ukraine just must, to show real success during the counteroffensive this spring. And if this counteroffensive fails, it puts a shadow on the perspectives of victory for Ukraine.
Satellite imagery indicates that Russian forces transferred armed vehicles and artillery systems from Crimea to unspecified places. What does that indicate? Did they expect an offensive in the direction of Crimea?
First of all, Ukrainian military and political authorities and Ukrainian general staff, they keep in very, very serious secret where the counteroffensive will start and what the next Ukrainian military steps will take place. And just now there are different points of information. For example, from the Ukrainian officials, it was stated that there are some military actions in the area of Kherson, with crossing the Dnieper River to the left bank of the Dnieper, now controlled by Russians. Also, there is different points of information about military preparations from Ukrainian side in the area of Vuhledar, what is in Donetsk region, or near Vasilievka, which is in the Zaporizhia region, and some 20 kilometers close to Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, now occupied and controlled by Russians. So, first of all, Ukrainian side, I believe, effectively keeps it in secret, the plans and the possible military steps. And if Russians are moving somewhere their forces, obviously they are trying to prepare to it, but nothing says, and even the so-called Pentagon leaks, they didn't have any bite of information about the specific Ukrainian military plans for counteroffensive.
And when can we expect this Ukrainian counteroffensive to start?
If previously from President Zelensky to different level Ukrainian officials and unofficial military experts say that the probable moment for the start of Ukrainian counteroffensive will be end of March or beginning of May, and as we know now is the end of April. As we know now is the end of April. But first of all, the first reason why it isn't going, it seems even not to be this so-called Pentagon leaks, but actually the weather in Ukraine. It is still very wet, and there is a flood in rivers from the Dnieper River to some smaller rivers all over the country. And as the ground is still wet, it's you understand it's just technically extremely hard to make any steps for military offensive on the ground.
Anton Pochenkin, thank you very much for your insight this evening.
Thank you.